Alright guys, today we're going to be talking about the groups of interest. Because the Foundation is not the only group with an interest in investment in the paranormal and metaphysical. There are many other groups in existence who possess, use, or attempt to create SCP objects, either for their own personal gain or for the protection of mankind. Some are rival organizations, some are splinter groups of the Foundation, and are trusting associates of the Foundation. In any case, it has been deemed necessary to create and distribute a brief on what agencies in the Foundation knows about, and our stance towards them. Alexilva University. Very little is known about the Alexilva University or its motives. Evidence appears to suggest that the organization exists in some sort of alternative universe in which Latin and Greek cultures maintain dominance at least over the Western Hemisphere. Nothing to date is known about any other part of the world. All university-related objects have been found in the mid-southern United States, and more specifically in Tennessee, leading Foundation researchers to believe the university itself is located in that geographical area. Many objects associated with the university, which is not believed to have built the objects, are recovered during postal transit via the agency known as Fitztransom Combine, and accompanied by relevant paperwork, which has helped shed light on the objects and the place from which they came. To date, all that is known about the methods that transfer the objects is that the technology uses principles similar to that of Einstein-Rosen bridge, a concept considered purely theoretical by contemporary science. A particular section of the university known as the Department of Natural Philosophy is considered responsible for the transferences, possibly without the knowledge or consent to the rest of the organization. Ambrose Restaurants. Ambrose Restaurants is a large-scale chain of fine dining eateries located in various public locations across Earth, along with several locations in anomalous or extra-dimensional locations of interest. These restaurants specialize in anomalous food and culinary practices, and vary widely in variation and style. Despite the scale of the Ambrose Restaurants chain, they are generally non-hostile and will instead flee from threats directed towards them. Ambrose Restaurants is currently believed to be jointly owned by the persons of interest Shaz Ambrose and Marius, but due to lack of public appearances, this is unconfirmed. Notably, several groups of interest have engaged in relations with Ambrose Restaurants, including Marshall Carter and Dark, Ltd., and Herman Fuller's Circus of the Disquieting, though the extent with which they collaborate is unknown, as the Ambrose restaurant chain continues to expand beyond anomalous markets. Any new locations are to be shut down and valuable information on Ambrose restaurants saved. Anderson Robotics. Based in the Pacific Northwest, Anderson Robotics first came to the Foundation's attention in 2007 with the capture of SCP-1360, led by Vincent Anderson, and specializing in the sale of anomalous androids, robots, artificial intelligences, and cybernetics. Anderson Robotics has quickly gained a fair amount of traction in the realm of paratechnology. The group's small size, remarkable espionage capabilities, and surprisingly large resource base has made apprehension of any Anderson employee difficult, with only a handful of Anderson products currently in the hands of the Foundation. Ari Kuliet, a collective of anomalous artists or anartists. Members of Ari Kuliet are capable of either obtaining or producing anomalous objects and entities, and using them to create art installations. These installations are placed for maximum public exposures and have been fatal to bystanders. The phrase Ari Kuliet is always present in some way. The Black Queen. Very little conclusive information has been recovered about the person of interest called the Black Queen. She claims to the given name Alison Cow, the name of the daughter and researcher Dr. Gears, and cow before Gears' recruitment by the Foundation. The Black Queen possesses unusual knowledge of Foundation structure and activities, and contained anomalies. The reason for this unusual knowledge has yet to be conclusively identified, but appears to be gained partially through anomalous means, including the possibility of extra-universal informational sources. She has reportedly been able to breach Foundation security utilizing this information, in addition to classified anomalous means. Conflicting reports exist of the Black Queen's activities and motivations, likely due to multiple individuals or deliberate counterintelligence. Initial reports characterize her as malevolent, murderous, and destructive. Other reports characterize her as neutral or benevolent. All intelligence indicates her hostility towards the Foundation. There are reports of the Black Queen's involvement with most major groups of interest known to the Foundation, along with several world governments. Unverified sources claim that she is the same individual as LS of the Serpent's Hand, and that LS stands for Little Sister. The reason for this unusual close connection is possibly due to the Black Queen's use of the Wanderer's Library. Intelligence indicates the presence of multiple other individuals also call themselves the Black Queen. The nature and origin of these individuals is inconclusive. The Chaos Insurgency. The Chaos Insurgency is a splinter group of the Foundation, created by a rogue cell that went AWOL with several SCP objects in 1924. Since then, the Insurgency has become a major player on the world stage, using the anomalies that it obtains for its own benefit and to consolidate its global power base. The Insurgency not only deals in anomalies, but also in weapons running and intelligence gathering. It makes use of authorization regimens in poor and developing countries, often using their populations in the same manner as the Foundation does D-class personnel. It helps to maintain the extreme poverty and war that is suffered by these countries, so that it can continue its radical experimentation, easy conscription of forces, and lucrative business deals with various opposing factions. Most of the anomalous objects possessed by the Insurgency are unknown. Among the most notable items are the Staff of Hermes, an item capable of warping the physical and chemical properties of any matter it touches, and the Bell of Entropy, an object that can cause a variety of destructive effects depending on where it is struck. Both of these objects were originally obtained at no small cost by the Foundation and were stolen by the original founders of the Insurgency. The SCP objects and other anomalies stolen from the Foundation typically possess high potential for direct utility, but the Insurgency has also made use of anomalies with less direct applications, such as SCP-884. The main base of operations of the Insurgency is unknown, as are its current leaders. This organization is directly antagonistic to the Foundation, using deadly force to attempt to prevent Foundation containment of multiple anomalies. The Foundation has also been infiltrated by agents of the Insurgency in the past, resulting in the loss of valuable scientific data, theft of a number of anomalies, and deaths of personnel. Personnel are made to be aware of possible raids, terrorist action, and spies from the Insurgency, and are to notify their superiors about any activities from fellow personnel fitting the Insurgency behavioral profile. The Chicago Spirit. During the early 20th century, the Chicago Spirit was the largest anomalous criminal organization in the Western Hemisphere. Based in Chicago, Illinois, the group's influence extended to most major cities in the United States, particularly New York, Boston, New Orleans, and the extra-dimensional city-state of Three Portlands. The Spirit was known for recruiting individuals with anomalous capabilities, as well as creating and exploiting anomalous artifacts for use in its criminal activities. The Spirit was founded in 1895 by Chicago resident and barn owner Richard D. Chappell, who was himself an anomalous individual. Despite years of efforts, the Foundation remained largely unsuccessful in its attempts to suppress Chappell's rise to power, due in part to its limited resources at the time as a result of an ongoing internal crisis. In January of 1919, the Foundation officially suspended all opposition against the Chicago Spirit to ensure their cooperation in preventing the spread of SCP-2680. Once allowed to operate unimpeded, the Spirit flourished into a nationwide syndicate and eventually became a driving force in the illegal distribution of alcohol during the Prohibition era. Thanks to the success of its bootlegging businesses, the Chicago Spirit continued to amass power over North America markets and politics throughout the 1920s, and the Foundation was eventually forced to terminate its truce with the group in order to prevent the complete dissolution of scientific normalcy. On July 11th, 1933, Richard Chappell was finally apprehended by Foundation operatives following a raid on the Spirit's base of operations. In the absence of its leader, the group gradually destabilized, and most of its members' assets were acquired by other organizations. As of 1938, the Foundation officially considers the Chicago Spirit to be defunct. However, rumors of the Spirit's continual survival has persisted in subsequent decades. Various artifacts have been discovered which imply the group's involvement, though a conclusive link has yet to be proven. Furthermore, recent evidence has revealed the emergence of a new syndicate calling itself the Chicago Spectre, which seems to operate primarily as anomalous underground communities. Investigation into this group and its connection to the original Spirit, if any, are ongoing. The Church of the Broken God. Shortly after this discovery and containment of SCP-882, several members of this church came forward and demanding the return of the Heart of God. Led by one Robert Bumero, there are a group of zealots, believing many of the SCP items to be part of a god that was broken after the creation of the universe. By restoring it to its whole state, they will also gain godhood. Since first contact, 3 other key components of the god have also been tentatively identified: SCP-217, SCP-271, and SCP-1139. They are extremely hostile to Foundation operatives, bringing them heretics, and will attempt to kill operatives and break containment of SCP items. It is unknown how they are able to detect these items, but they have shown their ability to do so with frightening accuracy. In addition, they have shown a remarkable ability to resist the mental effects of SCP items, notably SCP-882 and its mental lure. The Church is viewed as a threat to both the SCP Foundation and mankind. Members are to be detained by force or eliminated by whatever means deemed necessary by Foundation agencies. Church of the Second High Thoth. The Church of the Second High Thoth is an occult organization of human and alien entities that adhere to extraterrestrial Orothan religion, aiming to aid a universal guardian deity, Rakmu-Luzen, in combat against extra-universal threats known as the Vorutet. The central beliefs of the religion is that the current universe, the Second High Thoth, was preceded by a different universe, which used to exist until it was consumed by an extra-universal entity. A group of survivors fled to the newly created Second High Thoth, our reality, with 7 of them choosing to ascend to godhood to ensure the universe's safety. 6 of these gods died over time, leaving Rakmu-Luzen as the last survivor. Operations taken by the Council are performed underneath the veil, likely to avoid heavy scrutiny from normalcy organizations. The main language of the group is the Orothan Extraterrestrial Language, or OEL, which has been anomalously kept unchanged despite the distances between Ortotenth sex group members attribute this to acts of divine interventions. Human Ortoten belief systems are known to have existed by around 11,000 BCE, corresponding to the formation of the ancient Orthothan kingdom civilization. Though modern branches have only developed in the past century, Orthothan groups separate from the Church exist, all being significantly smaller in comparison and tending to have differing moral beliefs. Beyond the Church, the Orthothan religion has an interstellar and intergalactic presence, having initially emerged among extraterrestrial civilizations. Numerous such orthothan civilizations are known to exist, with their full extent not yet ascertained. Among the largest of these is the Tursan II Orthothan Coalition, a collective of orthothan entities residing in global cluster Tursan II at war with the hostile 12-star civilization. The only orthothan civilization known to have entered the solar system is species of interest 002. It is presumed extinct. Deer College. Deer College is a coeducational liberal arts and occult science college in the heart of the scenic Three Portlands, an extra-dimensional city-state located adjacent to the American Northwest and southern England, with a curriculum that focuses on the marriage of mundane and occult disciplines and a well-regarded art program. Deer is often seen as the liberal arts counterpart to its GOC-sponsored rival across town, ICSUT, Portlands. A number of prominent figures in the anomalous world are Deer alumni, including Vincent Anderson, the CEO of Anderson Robotics, and Esther, lesbian_Gengar Kogan, one of the co-founders of Gamers Against Weed. As the Foundation's operations in Three Portlands are heavily restricted by a number of agreements with the FBI's Unusual Incidents Units, Deer College itself is relatively free of Foundation intervention. However, all Deer alumni are automatically marked as persons of interest and may be subject to increased Foundation scrutiny. Dr. Wondertainment. Dr. Wondertainment, whether an individual or collective entity, is capable of producing anomalous artifacts and entities which thematically resemble children's toys. The nature of these objects and devices vary, although all were clearly intended to be utilized by children. In addition, Dr. Wondertainment is responsible for the creation of the Little Misters, anomalous humanoids altered for collectability. Dr. Wondertainment is known to have targeted Foundation personnel in the past, and their feelings towards the Foundation appear to be ambiguous. See the entry of Isabel Wondertainment on the personal dossier for more information. Links to the factory have been speculated but are unconfirmed. The factory. Little is known about the factory. Excursions into facilities purported to be operated by them have yielded limited results, and no concrete conclusions have been reached except that they seem capable of manufacturing anomalous artifacts, and that they use mass production techniques to do so. The Fifth Church. This church is to other churches what clowns are to people. There are some superficial similarities, but all the wrong things are being emphasized and exaggerated, so you can't quite put your finger on what's wrong. Sure, it isn't out to get you, but what does it mean? Why is it there? And what happens if it calls to you? As said by Dr. The Fifth Church, also known as the Church of Fifthism or the Fifthist Fellowship, is a highly secretive religious organization which possesses ties throughout the entertainment industry. Despite repeated investigations, culminating in the 2007 nationwide sting known as Operation Stargazer, no further details regarding its doctrines, its practices, its number of members, or its goals have been confirmed, although a watch list has maintained of 100 confirmed and suspected Fifthist celebrities and other prominent personalities. Its origins have been placed in varying points in the mid-20th century, and various located in North America and Asia, but some sources have dated it to centuries earlier. The Fifth Church has never communicated directly with the SCP Foundation, but is to be considered a hostile force. Gamers Against Weed. Gamers Against Weed is a loosely organized confederation of anomalous individuals, as well as associates thereof, that produce or procure anomalies for satirical purposes and or for their own amusement. More recently, however, while they have also been implicated in supplying anomalies to left-wing political organizations. While Gamers Against Weed organizes its activities primarily over internet channels, several real-world locations associated with the group have been identified and raided. Current intelligence suggests that Gamers Against Weed is in the process of creating and distributing a set of anomalous humanoids to parry Dr. Wondertainment's Little Misters series. and that it is aware of the Foundation's operations, if not its exact nature. Detainment of Gamers Against Weed's members has proven more difficult than anticipated. Some of the group's organizers are believed to possess reality-altering capabilities, either in their own right or through access to outside resources. Current operations are focused on the containment of related anomalies and the identification and analysis of Gamers Against Weed's most dangerous members. The Global Occult Coalition, or GOC. The GOC was created in the aftermath of World War II from the remnants of defecting occultists, psychics, priests, and scientists from Nazi, Soviet, and Allied states, brought together and formed by the Allies. As the world stage broadened, so too did the number of countries that had their hands in the GOC, until it became what it is today. The GOC are a largely political force, seeing themselves as the police of the paranormal world. They pride themselves on destroying supernatural entities and make use of the most high-tech experimental technology possible. Obtained from their benefactors, many potential SCPs have been destroyed by them before the Foundation could obtain and contain them. They have been both on the side of Foundation and against it at times, depending on the situation. They largely hold the Foundation in contempt for their use and containment of SCP items rather than their out-and-out destruction. The GOC has respected the Foundation's formidable might enough to leave it mostly alone, although there have been some questionable incidents in which the GOC have strictly denied involvement. Agents of the GOC are to be treated with suspicion. GRU Division P, originally known as Chede Akhen, or Fourth Dimensional Abnormal Occurrences Commission, it was established in early 1935 by the direct decree of J.V. Stalin, its first task being the investigation of the murder of S.M. Kirov. During World War II, the Commission expanded into the newly recognized GRU as Division P, Psychotronics, working to counteract anomalous threats from the SS, Adnerby, and the Vatican, and to capture and study anomalous artifacts both at home and abroad for the benefit of the Soviet government. Division P has carried on with this role throughout the Cold War, making Foundation operations in the country of the Comintern difficult. After 1991, rapid restructuring coupled with budget cuts and the decommissioning of sale of significant assets resulted in numerous defections of their personnel, significant proportions of both Chaos Insurgency and MC&D operatives in Eastern Europe, originally from the GRU Division P ranks, and the flooding of the European black market with anomalous items formerly in their possession. Currently, this group of interest poses little direct threat to the Foundation. Herman Fuller's Circus of the Disquieting. Herman Fuller's Circus of the Disquieting is purported to be a circus of anomalous origin and purpose. Currently, there is no evidence that this group exists beyond the allegations of various sapient SCPs and a handful of damaged non-anomalous artifacts. Most related objects, typified by humanoid status, utilize anomalous deformities for the sake of performance in some way, such as SCP-1884 and SCP-2902. Other appear to be typical fairground objects d'art, such as SCP-1921, or take the form of attractions for the show, such as SCP-3717 or SCP-1695. Typically, objects related to Herman Fuller's Circus of the Disquieting are found at fairgrounds where the show is said to have performed. The Horizon Initiative. The Horizon Initiative is an organization created in the late 1960s by various influential sects in the main three Abrahamic religions as a response to the growing number of anomalous activities and groups which they perceived as threats. Though the full extent of their goals is uncertain, the Horizon Initiative is known to target SCP objects either with the intention of retrieving or destroying them, depending on each item's perceived place in their dogma. The initiative is led by a tribunal composed of leaders from the three largest sects involved in its creation, though a large amount of internal strife often leaves the official leadership in less than full control of the organization. The HI's main combat force, Project Malleus, is generally deployed in anti-cult operations and in SCP retrieval operations. The initiative's relations with most other groups of interest in the Foundation seem to be in a state of constant flux. While all parts of the HI perceive the Church of the Broken God and Fifth Church with a great degree of hostility, and at times engaging them in armed conflict, sentiments towards the Foundation and the GOC vary greatly, from open hostility to a limited willingness to cooperate, depending on the internal affiliation of individual members. IJAMEA. The Imperial Japanese Anomalous Matters Examination Agency, or IJAMEA, not to be confused with the Foundation predecessor IGAMEA, the Imperial German Anomalous Matters Examination Agency, was Japan's official and primary anomaly agency in the period from the Meiji Restoration in 1868 until the end of World War II in 1945. IJAMEA was founded with the purpose to bring Japan up to speed with Western esoterics research, acting as a modern counterpart to pre-existing so-called primitive groups. In this capacity, the IJAMEA cataloged hundreds of different anomalies spread throughout Japan and her colonies, conducted extensive research on these, and undertook numerous projects aiming to utilize the anomalies for the greater good of the fledgling empire. IJAME saw most of its significant role during World War II, when it attempted to weaponize several anomalies to assist military forces in the war against the Allies. Rushed planning and insufficient funds, however, resulted in few of these programs bearing fruit. The IJAME was formally disbanded when the Treaty of San Francisco in 1951, and most of its assets were either transferred to GOC control or covertly acquired by the Foundation. However, imperial loyalists and Japan's nationalists within it kept IJAME alive in the post-war years, this time as a clandestine organization, during which its main focus was checking the spread of communist influence in Japan and East Asia. Today, it primarily serves to care for the well-being of Japan's diverse but faltering anomalous ecology, and supports various nationalist agendas with its ties to prominent politicians, business people, and cultural personalities throughout Japan. It seeks to return some political power to the imperial family and return Japan to great power, status, and actively seeks to exploit the various anomalies in its possession for this purpose. The Foundation is seen as a foreign rival at best, and agents are to exercise due caution when interacting with IJME personnel. Mana Charitable Foundation. Established in 1971 as an interfaith humanitarian relief agency, recovered documents describe the Mana Charitable Foundation's mission as sharing all of God's miracles with the last of his children. Funded indirectly throughout associations with various charitable groups and religious organizations, and on occasion publicly endorsed by wealthy philanthropists or academic institutions. The MCF's primary agendas since its founding has been the free distribution of anomalous objects or their byproducts to civilians living in poverty-stricken regions in the Third World or in areas afflicted by warfare, famine, or natural disaster. The MCF is currently recognized as a non-governmental organization by the United Nations, and is known to operate legally and illegally in several hostile or isolated regions outside of the Foundation's sphere of influence. While no SCP objects known to have been distributed by the MCF to date have caused intentional harm to human beings or communities, and detained MCF operations tend to demonstrate strong pacifist beliefs, containment breaches associated with the group have often resulted in human casualties or severe threats to the global status quo due to unforeseen consequences of the objects released from containment, and or a zeal to distribute potentially helpful objects immediately without rigorous scientific study of their long-term behavior. Marshall Carter and Dark Ltd., a club based in London, England, catering to the super rich and with extensive political and financial ties worldwide. This group has caused extensive problems for the Foundation. Marshall Carter and Dark Ltd. Is known for collecting rare and obscure items, along with providing its members the most exclusive, expensive, and rare experiences available. These activities have resulted in conflict with the Foundation on numerous occasions. The group is not known for their use of force. They prefer to apply extreme financial or political pressure to achieve their goals. When forced to use more direct means, Marshall Carter and Dark Ltd. Employs outside agents and is very difficult to connect said agents to the organization. Marshall Carter and Dark Ltd. has caused several SCP containment breaches, primarily through the use of money or social pressure. Several reports, records, and even items have been leaked by Foundation personnel who have been approached with large amounts of money or threats of extensive jail time or torture. Notably, 2 containment sites were almost brought to public attention after the Foundation refused access to members of Marshall Carter and Dark Ltd. Information pertaining to Marshall Carter and Dark Ltd., such as the name of the director or even a list of members, have provided very difficult to acquire. Agents encountering members of this group are advised to maintain a cover story and not for any real reason reveal Foundation ties or SCP information. Nobody. Little is currently known about the person, entity, or group known as Nobody. First cited in 1954, they have had numerous appearances since. There has only been one person seen at any given time, typically described as a male Caucasian dressed in a gray suit and a fedora. If asked his identity, he replies that he's nobody. However, it is not known if this is the work of a single person or multiple agents of a single unknown agency. Their agenda is currently unknown, sometimes helping the Foundation, sometimes hindering it. Caution is recommended if any field agent encounters an operative identifying themselves as nobody. The Office for the Reclamation of Islamic Artifacts, or ORIA. The Office of the Reclamation of Islamic Artifacts, ORIA, is a paramilitary force answerable only to the Supreme Leader of Iran, dedicated to the collection and utilization of anomalous artifacts throughout the Middle East and Central Asia. Following the 1979 overthrow of the Imperial Iranian government by revolutionary forces and subsequent creation of the Islamic Republic of Iran, all Foundation personnel were expelled from Iran as agents of colonialism. Attempts at maintaining a clandestine presence in the country met with failure, and with the majority of Foundation personnel either captured or killed, and sites and being captured by Iranian forces. To prevent Iran from being left behind in the field of extranormal research, the ORIA was created by a secret decree of Supreme Leader Khomeini in 1981. Despite its name, the group has not limited itself to the pursuit of anomalous objects of Islamic origin. Although the ORIA has access to considerable resources, its effectiveness is hobbled by infighting among numerous factions within the organization. Some of these disputes center around philosophical differences, such as weaponization of anomalous objects, while others appear to be personal in nature. The proliferation of factions appear to have been intentional, as the organization of the ORIA often leaves multiple commanders with overlapping areas of responsibility. It is theorized that the reason behind this arrangement was to prevent any one individual from accumulating enough power to pose a challenge to the supreme leader. With the spread of Iranian hegemony throughout the Middle East and Western Asia, the ORIA has expanded its reach across the region, becoming the foremost paranormal organization in the Middle East. The ORIA is to be considered a hostile force, and Foundation personnel are advised to use extreme caution when engaging. Uniroi Collective. Information about the Uniroi Collective has come to the Foundation only through analysis and interviews or the anomalous objects they leave behind. It is believed to be collective consciousness of dreaming persons and dream-based entities. Intelligence has shown that they have been documented by other groups of interests, usually to a similar degree to the Foundation's interaction. The Honoroi Collective is apparently capable of contacting even the highest isolated entities, example, nobody. Their goals, if any exist, are currently unknown. Parawatch. The Parawatch Wiki is an online web forum of conspiracy theorists, paranormal enthusiasts, and amateur writers operating with the intent of investigating and exposing anomalous phenomena. This group primarily compiles short stories on their forum, detailing encounters with paranormal phenomena, historical cases, and any unusual events users have experienced. Further operation and any potential impact on normalcy is hindered by the geographic spread of the user base and the lack of central coordination. Despite investment in the paranormal, Parawatch has no knowledge on the nature of anomalous phenomena, the veil, and the Foundation's existence. This, in tandem with public obscurity, has prevented them from potentially endangering the veil. The group is currently being left active as means of misinforming and misleading other investigations into the anomalous. Prometheus Labs Incorporated. Founded in 1892, Prometheus Labs were dedicated to researching anomalous objects for use in developing new technologies. Over the years, Prometheus Labs developed into a multinational conglomerate selling advanced and anomalous technologies to governments, militaries, and groups of interest. Throughout its history, Prometheus Labs has displayed a nominal amount of cooperation with the Foundation, efforts to protect normalcy, and at times even collaborated with the Foundation, but refused to cease its study of anomalies and resisted Foundation oversight. In 1998, following a long period of financial decline, the Prometheus Labs conglomerate was dissolved, resulting in the creation of numerous successor companies formed from its subsidiaries. The breakup of the conglomerate was fraught with technical and administrative difficulties, resulting in the loss of many products and the layoffs of numerous personnel. Most of the former projects of Prometheus Labs, now in containment, were recovered during this time, and many of its former employees were hired by the Foundation. Sarkic cults. Sarkism is a religious/philosophical system that encompasses a variety of traditions, beliefs, and spiritual practices largely based on the teachings attributed to Grand Carxist Ion, its deified founder. Adherents practice ritual cannibalism, human sacrifice, corporeal augmentation, thaumaturgy, and dimensional manipulation. Highly secretive, the general public appears to have no direct knowledge of their existence, the one exception being the Akot BEG, who views them in apocalyptic terms. Organic manipulation has allowed certain sarcocytes to achieve anomalous status of being, transcending the physical limitations of baseline humans. Disease is viewed with reverence, and sarkic shrines have been discovered with offerings to swollen lymph nodes and tumorous growths. Sarkic cults treat contagions as consecration, as a means to cull the weak and purify the masses, and thus actively seek to ensure their spread. The Foundation divides known sarkic cults into two distinct strands, proto-sarkic and neo-sarkic. Proto-sarkic cults can be found in insular communities throughout Eurasia's most isolated regions. Its followers generally poor, if self-reliant, and hostile towards outsiders. Such groups eschew modernity, display acute technophobia, and are bound by superstition and taboo. In contrast, neo-sarkic cults are cosmopolitan, publicly embracing modernity and showing no apparent qualms with technology. Their public lives differ little from others of their culture and social status. Adherents are primarily affluent families, rich in history and scandal. Ultimately, it is believed that the Foundation only knows a fraction of what sarcasm is and what its followers intend. Based on the available information, the speculated goals of sarkic cults represent an SK-class dominance shift, including the possibility of an XK-class end-of-the-world scenario. The Serpent's Hand. The Serpent's Hand is a small but formidable organization responsible for several security breaches. At least 3 different individuals have been encountered, all of whom used possible or confirmed anomalous items for infiltration purposes, including SCP-268, which was stolen from the Foundation, who had in turn recovered in a raid of a Chaos Insurgency facility. The total number of members belonging to this organization is unknown, as is their level of technologies, a number of possible SCPs held, or total level of threat. However, it is clear that they are highly coordinated and possibly dangerous. One of their leaders is thought to be a figure known as LS, who is considered to be personally responsible for 2 security breaches in Foundation sites. The Foundation currently has very little information about the Serpent's Hand, and almost all known information about the Serpent's Hand has leaked from the GOC intelligence. The group seemed to embrace the use and existence of paranormal items, and in particular seem to embrace humanoid and sentient SCPs. The Serpent's Hand has been highly vocal in criticizing the containment and destruction of these SCPs, especially those which are fully human and are not particularly destructive. The group seems to have an unfriendly relations with the Chaos Insurgency and the Aurea, and an extremely hostile relationship with the GOC. The only recorded cases of unprovoked violence by Serpent's Hand members have been against GOC agents. The Serpent's Hand seem primarily based in an anomalous location called the Wanderer's Library, a building accessed through portals found in many different parts of the world. Direct assaults on the library have so far proven unfeasible, even when entrance could be found. However, initial intelligence seems to suggest the Hand was little understanding or control over the place. Shark Punching Center. The Shark Punching Center, also known as the Salation Punching Center, the Shark Punching Center, Selikos Punchis Combin, among others, is an organization located in one or more parallel universes, apparently acting as an alternative universe counterpart to the Foundation. While the Foundation has known of the center for several decades, the structure, documentation, and general tone taken by the Shark Punching Center varies widely, suggesting one or more universes are in a state of flux. Documents pertaining to the Shark Punching Center have been recovered and indicate a much more militaristic and unstable tone than a Foundation document. As the name would suggest, the SPC is more focused on furthering hand-to-hand combat as a means to neutralize Salation entities, though some documentation fails to differentiate between Salation and aquatic. It is unclear if the Shark Punching Center has any knowledge or concern of what or with Foundation activities. The 3 Moons Initiative. The 3 Moons Initiative is an extra-dimensional human military operation based in SCP-2922-C, an afterlife also known as Corbanic. Through a partnership with the Corbinese deity Jalakara, they act as a multi-dimensional security force for the protection of the human race. While Initiative personnel believe that they're operating in humankind's best interest, military overreach, poor communication, issues with internal bureaucracy, and other factors, combined with the disproportionately high military strength to our own, has made them a potentially liability to public safety in our dimension. As such, they maintain an unstable peace with the Foundation. Operatives of the 3 Moons Initiative are to be treated with extreme caution. Unusual Incidents Unit, UIU, Federal Bureau of Investigation. The Unusual Incidents Unit was formed after the onset of the Cold War, and many aspects of the American government were forced on utilizing the anomalous and preventing the communists from doing the same. This led to the creation of Special FBI Division devoted to rapid response to paranormal events and crimes. Director J. Edgar Hoover was personally involved with their creation. Although initially given significant funding and resources by the American government, following the end of the Cold War and the dissolution of enemy organizations such as the GRU-P, the UIU has been in a state of decline for many years. Disparagingly referred to as X-Files and UI useless by the larger anomalous community, The agency is generally well-meaning, but due to a lack of financial resources, little manpower, and bureaucratic obstruction by the U.S. government, it is often perceived as ineffective. The influence of the Foundation and Global Occult Coalition in the United States government has stopped the UIU and other U.S. Gov entities dealing with anomalous activities, such as U.S. Air Force 616th Squadron, Roswell's Revengers, and U.S. Navy SEAL Team Bravo Papa Romeo Delta, from being dissolved entirely. FBI agents and special agents who join the Unusual Incidents Unit often have backgrounds in psychology, STEM fields, and art studies. As part of the Patriot Act, agents of the unit are required to be administered personalized mimetic silencing agents, PMSA, colloquially referred to as gag orders by agents of the UIU, to avoid leaks. The Unusual Incidents Unit has been known to engage in combat alongside and against various anomalous organizations in the past, including participating in several combat operations under Foundation supervision in the 1950s and 1960s, and the Black Mamba incident in Afghanistan in 1976, an infamous skirmish between the UIU agents and members of Group P. Currently, a division of the Unusual Incidents Unit oversees the anomalous state of 3 Portlands. An example of underfunding and understaffing in the Unusual Incidents Unit can be seen in its sole remaining division in the Midwestern United States. Wilson's Wildlife Solutions. Wilson's Wildlife Solutions is a paranormal, publicly funded wildlife service based in Clackamas County, Oregon, specifically in the town of Boring. Although this foundation has known of Wilson's Wildlife Solutions' existence and anomalous affiliation since 1999, it took 9 years until the Ursus Maritimus incident in 2008 for their existence to be officially recognized and a relationship established between the two groups. Currently, the Boring Agreement outlines that Wilson's Wildlife Solutions should be supervised by MTF Beta 4 castaways local to Site 64, and that they may handle containment of safe or Euclid fauna-based anomalies with varying degrees of Foundation intervention on a case-to-case basis. Amendments to the Boring Agreement can be and have been made to account for gray areas or new policies as necessary. All right, so that should be it for the groups of interest. So you can be taken back to your rooms now. Oh yeah, I'll start making videos on and tapes on SCPs now. Oh, so which one to start on? Oh, I know, SCP